Welcome at Pizza and More. What are you doing if you return from your holiday at the evening and the next day you want to bake pizza? My name is Jürgen and I show you now what I do in such a case. I make a dough with a short leavening time. With a leavening time of around 8 hours, because if I return only in the evening, I normally do not want to create directly a pizza dough, but then the next day in the morning it's the right time. But then we have only around 8 hours left until the evening when I want to make pizza. That's the reason why I make a pizza dough with 8 hours. Once I made already a video with a pizza dough for 8 hours. This video is linked here. And 8 hours are so the minimum leavening time for a Neapolitan pizza. The taste is fantastic, of course, but there is one small piece of thing what we can do to improve the aroma and the taste of such a pizza. I use in this case a little bit of Lievito Madre. I add the Lievito Madre to the dough, not instead of yeast, and I use yeast. I use the Lievito Madre really only to increase the aroma and the taste, because our Lievito Madre acts then as a kind of pre-dough. If we use the Lievito Madre additionally with yeast, we have the advantage that the acid value of the sourdough will be reduced, and then the whole taste is not that sour as if we would use only Lievito Madre. Because we are having only a short leavening time, it's important to use a flour with not a very high W value. You know, the W value is the value which tells you how long the gluten structure will resist and how strong the gluten structure will be. If we would use a flour with a very high W value, after 8 hours, the gluten structure is still that strong, and that strong that when we bake the pizza and we eat the pizza, it's like chewing gum. It's not that nice, and therefore it's recommended to use a flour with a lower W value. My flour today, what I use is a flour type 00 with a protein value of 12% and a W value of 260. If you have no Lievito Madre, I made already a video where I show how to create a Lievito Madre or how to breed a Lievito Madre or a sourdough, and this video is linked in the video description. And now I would say we start with the dough. And here are the ingredients we use today. As I already said, this is a flour of type 00 with 12% protein, and these are 500 grams. I have here a very cold water which comes directly out of the fridge with around 4 degrees. It is 310 grams, and then we end up at a hydration for our dough of 62%. I have here 15 grams of fine sea salt. I have here 0.7 grams of dry yeast. If you want to use fresh yeast, please use 2 or 2.1 grams. And I have here 50 grams of my Lievito Madre. The first thing we add into the mixer is our cold water, and then the second one is directly our Lievito Madre. If our Lievito Madre is in the bowl, we start the mixer for around 1 minute to dissolve the Lievito Madre a little bit in the water. After 1 minute it's enough. It's not necessary to dissolve it totally, only that it's a little bit dissolved in the water. The next we add is our flour. And then we add the yeast. And now we start the mixer for around 2 minutes and we mix everything up. This is then the mixing phase. We want to add the salt a little bit later because it's not recommended to add or to bring salt and yeast in direct contact to each other, because this might blockade the activity of the yeast. However, I never tasted it, but once I will taste it and I will make a video and show you how it behaves, if it's only a rumor or if it's fact. And now after 2 minutes we can add the salt, and then we continue mixing for around 20 minutes until the window test works. Especially when we prepare a dough with such a relatively low hydration with 62%, and especially in summer times, we have to be a bit careful with the temperature of the dough. So when the dough is a bit more strong, like it is if we have only 62% of hydration, then the temperature could rise, and we have to be careful that the dough temperature is not going over 25, 26, 27 degrees, because if the dough is warmer or gets warmer, there is the danger that the gluten structure breaks, and then it's not possible anymore to create a nice pizza. Therefore, it's always important to measure the temperature. If the danger is very high, if the room temperature is also very high, then there are some possibilities you can do, or precautions you can do. You can put the flour into the fridge. You can add to the water some ice cubes. You can use the Lievito Madre directly out of the fridge, and then it should not be that dangerous that the temperature of the dough rises too much. Now I think my dough is ready kneaded, and I try now to make the window test. For the window test, it's the easiest if you cover your hands with water or olive oil, or maybe also with flour, because then the dough doesn't stick that much to your fingers. For the windows test, we take some dough out of the bowl, and then we roll a ball, and then we try to stretch it. And if this is possible to stretch it very thin, like it's possible here with my dough, then the gluten structure is ready and we can take the dough out of the machine. And when we have the dough now on the counter, we make a couple of times or several times stretch and fold to have a nice shaped ball and to strengthen the gluten structure as well. Therefore, we take the dough, lift it up, put it back, stretch it here and fold it over. And then exactly the same, and we do this several times until we get here a very nice surface of the dough. And you will see, the more often you do this, the stronger the gluten structure will be and the less sticky the dough is. Then we turn the dough several times, because during the turning also the dough gets stretched, and then we can use our fingers and then we pull the dough, we turn it again, we pull it, and if we have a nice dough ball, we take, or I take here a dough ball box. I put the dough inside, I close the lid, and now I let it raise for around 30 minutes at room temperature. Now after 30 minutes of our bulk fermentation, which we use to get the dough a bit more relaxed, we create our pizza balls. The dough is here already on my counter. It will be the dough for 3 pizza with a diameter of around 30 to 33 centimeters. Each dough ball will have around 290 grams. You could measure it with a balance, or you simply divide it by 3 and then you make your pizza balls like this. but I always measure it to have each dough ball with the same weight. To shape the dough balls, we let the surface we had on top always on top, and then we take the dough from the side and we push it underneath to the bottom, and then you see how strong the top of the dough is, and then we push the dough into the center, and then we close at the bottom our dough ball. And then we can see we have a nice strong dough ball, and this is now put into the dough ball box. The next possibility to create such a dough ball is we make also stretch and fold like we did with the big one. We fold it over, we stretch it a bit, and we do this 2-3 times, and then you see also here how the surface is already. Then we turn it several times, and then if the dough ball is not closed at the bottom, we close it with pressing the dough, and when it's closed we put it also into the dough ball box. And the other possibility we have is we do the same as with the big one. We turn it, we pull it to us, we turn it a bit, then we pull it again. We don't roll it, we only pull it. And then also here through pulling, when we put the fingers under, the surface gets strong and stretched, and this is what we want when we create our dough balls. And then again we look that it's closed, and then it's done. Also into the box. You see here now the 3 dough balls are at this side of the box. This side of the box is empty. This might prevent the dough balls a bit from going or from running flat. However, as they have space, they have enough space, it is or we can't avoid that they go flat. But this doesn't matter, the taste will be exactly the same. You will see it. If we would have 6 dough balls here in this box, this would not happen, but in this case it's total normal and perfect. Important is now to close the lid. We let the dough now raise at room temperature for around 8 hours or until the evening when we create or when we bake our pizza. Have I already said at room temperature? Yes, of course, I think I said it. Around 8 hours at room temperature, and then we are able to bake our pizza. In the meanwhile, we can prepare our toppings. One word to the mozzarella cheese. If you are using mozzarella cheese, and this is something I say in each video, if you use mozzarella cheese which is in that salty water, then please remove it right now out of the water, cut the mozzarella into sticks, and then put it into a sieve to let it drain. And you will see how much water runs out of the cheese, and so we are able to avoid to have all this water which you will find in your bowl, and we have it not anymore on our pizza. My dough had now a total leavening time of around 9 hours. And I have to say my dough balls look really amazing. You will see them in a second. And now we make our pizza. I have already prepared all our ingredients or all my toppings. Okay, this is not a topping, but this is semolina which I use for stretching the dough. I have here San Marzano tomatoes, so my tomato sauce. This is only made with 4 to 5 grams of sea salt. I have here mozzarella fior di latte, some Parmesan cheese and fresh basil. If you want to see how I make, or if you want to know everything around the tomatoes themselves, I made a own video, so please check my channel. There you will find also a video all around the tomatoes. I also have already a video where I show very detailed how to take out the dough balls out of the box without stretching the dough, and then without stressing the dough, so that we are able to stretch the pizza and to make a nice round shape and exactly in that size we want. But I will show you this now, but a bit quicker and not in that detail like in my other video. And here you can see now the dough balls, and you see how perfectly they went. And now to take them out, I take semolina, enough semolina, so it's not necessary to save the semolina. Really put the semolina on top of the dough ball you want to take out, and everywhere where the dough ball is attached to any other dough ball or to the side of the box. Then you put your spatula into the semolina as well, and then you release the dough ball where, as I said, where it's attached to another dough ball, and then directly look that there is enough semolina in between so that they don't stick again to each other. And then the same here on the other side, and then some semolina onto the bottom, and then with the spatula I go under and take the dough ball out without pressing the dough ball or without stressing the dough ball. And then I take or put the dough ball directly into the bed of semolina. It's important for the other dough balls to close the lid, otherwise they will get dry and then it's hard to use them again. But for now, we take this dough ball, I flip this dough ball sometimes around in the semolina, and if you see such big bubbles, you can directly open them because they will be destroyed afterwards in any case. Then I take the dough ball out, then I have a look that the shape is nice and round. If it's not round, I make it round. Only with the fingertips I make a round shape. And then I start pressing from the center to the crust, and I press all the air which is in the dough right now to the crust, and I'm not pressing the crust because otherwise we have not that airy crust that we like. Then we flip the pie around and do exactly the same from the other side. As I said, I have already a video prepared and a video created where I show very detailed how to stretch the pizza in a Neapolitan way. The pizza does not have its final size right now because the final size will then be stretched on the peel. And now at first we put our tomatoes onto the pizza, and from now on we have to work a bit quick because the tomato sauce would weaken up our dough, which means there is the possibility afterwards, if we wait too long, that the dough sticks either to our counter or then to the pizza peel. The next we add is our fresh grated grana padano or parmesan. Then some fresh basil. And now our mozzarella fior di latte. And then, as the last, some nice olive oil. And now it's time for the pizza peel. To launch it onto the peel, we put some semolina onto the peel, we lifted the dough, and then we push the peel under. And now, as I said, it's time to stretch the dough to its final size, or the pizza. And here is now our nice 8, or in my case 9 hours margherita with a nice dough made with a little bit of Lievito Madre. Here now at last some for decoration and for the taste some fresh basil. And now it's also required to cut into this nice pizza to see if the dough is really that full of air like I thought, and we see it is of course full of air, and this after that short leavening time. How the pizza looks like is not everything. It could look like perfect, but tastes not that nice. And that's the reason why I taste it right now. And in each video I taste in the first instance from the center. And I can say the center tastes really very delicious, very nice. But as always, in the center there is not so much dough. So the taste from the dough is not there in the center. That's the reason why I taste now the crust. And at the crust I'm able to taste how the acid is, if it's too sour or if it's fantastic, and I have to say it's amazing. It's totally different than a pizza dough which is made only with Lievito Madre without any yeast, because this one is a bit sour. Of course, it's sourdough. But in this case, we have yeast and we have sourdough or Lievito Madre. And this is exactly what I said earlier. The combination from yeast and sourdough reduces or regulates the amount of acid, and the taste is not that sour. So there is absolutely, it's not sour. It's only nice, it's only full of aroma, and this after 8 or 9 hours leavening time. So I really recommend, if you come home from a vacation or from which trip ever, or if you even have only one day and not a long time for the leavening, if you have only one day, so 8 hours or 9 hours, then make this dough if you have Lievito Madre, of course. Otherwise, make one. Look my video. And then I can promise you it's fantastic, it's great, it's super delicious. If you like my video, I would be really happy if you would subscribe my channel, and then we see us in the next one. Until then, ciao.